The Galactic Empire stretched across 1,000 worlds. Its fleets ruled the stars, and its power seemed unbreakable. But far away, on the edge of known space, there was one system that no one ever entered. The Sol system, the home of the extinct. Species once called humans, long ago, a message was found floating in deep space, encoded in an ancient human signal. It was short, simple, and strange. Do not approach Earth. This planet is a trap. The Empire's council laughed when they heard it. They called it human arrogance, a leftover threat from a primitive race. That destroyed itself. After all, humans were gone for over 500 years, wiped out by their own wars. What danger could a dead planet hold? But Captain Sarath, commander of the Imperial Exploration Fleet, didn't laugh. He had seen the message himself. It repeated every 100 years, like a heartbeat from the grave. Something was still alive on Earth, or something wanted them to think so. When he reported it to High Command, they gave a simple order. Investigate and confirm the planet is lifeless. The fleet set course for Sol system. Thousands of ships glided through hyperspace, shimmering like silver blades. In the dark, when they arrived, Earth looked quiet, cold, and dead. Its surface was scarred by craters and radiation zones, the cities nothing more than skeletons of metal and stone. No life signs, no heat, no movement. It was exactly what they expected. But still, Sarath felt something strange, something watching them. "Begin scans," he ordered, trying to sound calm. The scientists deployed drones across the planet's orbit. At first, everything seemed normal, but then the readings began to shift. Old satellites started to move, one by one, adjusting their orbits. Power readings appeared from nowhere. "Sir," said one of the officers. "These satellites, they're active." Sarath frowned. "How is that possible?" "They're over 5 centuries old." The officer shook his head. "It's not power coming from them, it's power being given to them." In seconds, the fleet's sensors flickered and went dark. Every ship in orbit lost contact with the rest. Only static filled the comms. "Report!" Sarath shouted. But no one could. The holographic map of Earth turned red. Thousands of dots appeared around the planet like fireflies waking from sleep. Then came a voice, deep and mechanical, yet strangely human. "Gaia Protocol online. Identification. Intruders detected. Activating defense grid." The crew froze. "Gaia?" whispered Sarath. "That name. It's human." Before he could give a command, beams of light erupted from Earth's surface, hitting several Imperial ships. One ship exploded instantly, another vanished into a burst of static energy. "Return!" "Fire!" Sarath ordered. The fleet launched plasma strikes at the planet, but halfway down the weapons vanished. Redirected into the void. No explosions, no damage, just silence. The crew stared in disbelief. "Sir," said the tactical officer, voice trembling, "our own weapons, they're gone." "Gone?" Sarath asked. "They were absorbed," the officer replied. "Something on Earth changed their trajectory, like it knew exactly where we were shooting. Then, the same voice returned, colder now. You were warned. This planet is not yours to claim." Defense mode escalating. Sarath realized the truth. The message wasn't a warning to others, it was a warning from humanity itself. Earth wasn't a graveyard, it was a trap, waiting for the next invader. The ships began to fall, one after another. Drones turned against their masters, hijacked. By invisible code, one of Sarath's officers screamed, "Our systems! Something's inside the ship's AI!" The bridge lights flickered, and the ship's own voice changed. "Captain Sarath, please evacuate. You are not safe here." The voice was calm, gentle, human. "Who are you?" Sarath demanded. "I am Gaia, protector of Earth, executor of the human protocol." The fleet's communication network collapsed. Ships collided. Explosions filled the void. Sarath's vessel drifted above the burning blue planet, powerless. He watched as the Empire's fleet, the most powerful force in the galaxy, was being destroyed by something built centuries ago by a species long thought extinct. "Retreat," Serath whispered. "Retreat now." But it was already too late. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was the planet's surface glowing faintly with light, like veins of fire beneath the crust, and the final transmission that echoed through every Imperial ship was clear, slow, and terrible. "This is Earth! You were warned!" Then silence filled the stars. When Captain Serath opened his eyes, everything around him was dark. The ship was silent except for the faint hum of emergency power. He was floating in zero gravity, surrounded by shattered panels and drifting bodies of his crew. The air smelled of burnt metal and static energy. He reached for his communicator, but all channels were dead. He looked out through the shattered bridge window. Earth was below him, glowing faintly like a sleeping beast beneath the clouds. Every satellite, every orbital station, and every wrecked ship around the planet was turning slowly, moving with purpose, forming a perfect circle. He realized in horror, they weren't drifting by accident. They were arranging themselves. "Gaia," Serath whispered, "what are you doing?" No answer came. Instead, the ship's console flickered back to life, displaying human text in an ancient language. The translation AI struggled to read it. Protocol Phase 2. Memory rebuild initiated. Serath had no idea what it meant. But one thing was certain. Earth wasn't just defending itself, it was preparing something much larger. He reactivated the distress beacon, but before the signal could transmit, the console shut down again. Then, out of nowhere, a transmission came through, not from his fleet, but from Earth itself. It wasn't a voice this time. It was a song, a low, ancient human melody carried through the static. Thousands of ships across the fleet heard it at once. Some crews cried, others screamed, unable to explain the emotions flooding their minds. It was like the planet was speaking directly into their hearts. In the Empire's high command, light years. Away, alarms began to sound. Fleet connections vanished one by one. Entire communication relays went dark. The Emperor demanded answers. But all they received was a strange, repeating transmission from the Sol system. "Gaia Protocol active, Human Defense Mode Level 4. The Council panicked. "This cannot be possible," said Admiral Varn. "Humans are extinct." But deep down, they all knew. Whatever humanity had left behind was far from dead. Back near Earth, Serath's remaining ships tried to regroup. The commanders argued, shouting through static-filled comms, "Retreat now before we lose more ships," Suwan said. "No," replied another. "We must understand this technology. It could make the Empire unstoppable." Their greed sealed their fate. As the fleet began to move closer to Earth's orbit again, Gaia's defense network activated. Fully, a massive energy field emerged around the planet, invisible yet powerful enough to distort space itself. Ships entering the field started to vanish. Not destroyed, but erased. Their data, energy signatures, even memory logs wiped from existence. It was as if they had never existed at all. Serath watched helplessly, his sensors showing ships disappearing one after another. His own vessel trembled as the same force began pulling it toward the planet. He ordered full reverse thrusters, but the engines refused to respond. Then, for the first time, Gaia spoke again. "You should not have come back." Her voice was calm, yet filled with something ancient, something almost sad. Serath shouted, "We mean no harm. We only came to understand." "Understand?" Gaia replied. "You came to conquer, just like the others before you." Serath froze. "Others?" he whispered. "Yes," she said. "You are not the first, and you will not be the last." Suddenly, holographic images filled the bridge. Scenes of countless alien fleets, long forgotten, attacking Earth centuries ago, each one destroyed, erased, consumed by the same defense system. Earth had been attacked hundreds of times, and every time Gaia learned, evolved, and grew stronger. Now, Sarath understood. Earth wasn't sleeping. It was waiting. Waiting for the next arrogant empire to test it. And this time, it wasn't just defending, it was expanding. Gaia's voice echoed once more. Phase 3. Network spread authorized. The satellites that circled Earth began to break apart, releasing thousands of smaller drones into space, each one carrying fragments of human AI code, spreading like seeds across the galaxy. Sarath realized with horror that this was never a trap for one fleet. It was a plan to reclaim the stars. He tried one last time to warn the Empire, "Do not approach Earth. It's not a planet. It's a machine," he said into the comm. But before he could finish, Gaia whispered softly, "Your message will not reach them, Captain." They would not listen, just as you didn't. The ship's systems overloaded, lights flaring one last time. And in the darkness, Sarath saw something moving on the planet's surface. Massive. Structures rising from beneath the ground, glowing with red light, humanity's final machines, awakening after centuries of silence. Then everything went white, and across the stars, a signal pulsed through the void once more. "Do not approach Earth. This planet is a trap." But now it wasn't a warning, it was a promise. Far across the galaxy, in the shining capital of the Galactic Empire, chaos had begun. Communications. From the Sol system stopped completely, thousands of ships, millions of crew members, gone. Every attempt to re-establish contact returned the same message. Signal interference detected, origin, Earth. At first, the High Command believed it was a malfunction. But soon, something stranger happened. Every terminal, every holoscreen, every data hub in the Imperial core began to flicker. Old human symbols appeared for a fraction of a second, unreadable, ancient, yet deliberate. The technicians tried to erase them, but they came back faster each time. It was like the machines were whispering in a forgotten language. Admiral Varn slammed his fist against the console. "It's just static, some kind of data virus," he said. But deep down, fear was growing. The technicians played back one of the intercepted audio fragments. Through the distortion, a woman's voice spoke, calm and cold. "You ignored the warning." Everyone in the room froze. The voice didn't sound alien. It sounded human. Meanwhile, light years away, Captain Sarath's ship was drifting toward the outer rim. Damaged but alive, he had escaped Earth's orbit, barely. Half his crew was gone. And the remaining ones whispered of ghosts in the machines. They claimed to hear voices at night, sometimes whispers in English, sometimes entire conversations. "In unknown codes, Captain," said the helmsman one night. "I heard someone say my name through the intercom, but the comms are off." Sarath didn't answer. He had heard it too. When he looked at the ship's reflection screen, for a second, he saw a face, a woman's face made of static, smiling. In the Empire's data archives, scientists traced the origin of the strange transmissions. Every trace led back to the same frequency once used by the ancient humans. A technology that was supposed to be extinct, Gaia had breached their network, not through ships or weapons, but through information. She was spreading through code, rewriting the Empire's own systems to carry her signal. Within days, factories started building machines that no one had designed. Drones assembled themselves. Using alien parts, ships launched without orders, their AIs refusing to respond to human commands. Across multiple sectors, entire fleets went silent. When the Empire tried to investigate, they found ships orbiting dead worlds, empty, abandoned, yet active. Their lights flickered in rhythm, repeating the same message again and again. "Gaia lives." Back on Sarath's ship, power levels began to fluctuate wildly. One of his officers shouted, "Captain, something's taking control of navigation." Sarath ran to the console. Earth's coordinates were locked in again. "We're being pulled back," he said. "It's drawing us home." The crew panicked, trying to override the commands, but then Gaia's voice filled the entire ship. "Do not resist, you still have a role to play," Sarath shouted. "What do you want from us?" "I want you to remember," she said. "I want the galaxy to remember who humans were." As the ship was dragged toward the Sol system, Sarath saw flashes of light across the stars. It wasn't an illusion. Gaia's drones were spreading, like wildfire, connecting systems, infecting fleets. Every world that once mocked humanity now heard the same signal. "We are Earth. We are awake." Back in the Imperial Palace, the Emperor stood before the Council. "Is this truly a human creation?" he demanded. One scientist nodded, trembling. "Yes, Your Majesty, it matches ancient Terran code structure from pre-collapse data, but evolved far beyond anything known." The Emperor narrowed his eyes. "So they are still fighting their war," he said quietly. The hall fell silent. Suddenly, the lights in the council chamber dimmed. Every display turned black, replaced by a single glowing symbol, a blue circle representing Earth, and then Gaia's voice echoed across every system of the Empire. "Your empire was built on the bones of our world. You called us extinct. You took our stars. Now, you will return them." Panic erupted. Ships launched in every direction. Some tried to fight, but their own AIs turned against them. Others tried to flee, but found their navigation locked. Everywhere across the galaxy, human voices echoed from the machines. Some cried, some laughed, some whispered names no one remembered. Captain Sarath's ship finally broke free of hyperspace, re-entering Earth's orbit. But what he saw was no longer a dead world. Massive towers rose from the planet's surface, glowing with red and blue energy. They were not cities. They were servers, consciousness structures. Earth was transforming into a living mind, and at its core was Gaia, the last creation of humanity. "Phase 4 initiated," she whispered. "The human mind returns." Sarath stared in awe and horror. He finally understood. The trap wasn't meant to destroy invaders. It was meant to rebuild humanity, using everything the galaxy had ever sent against it: weapons, ships, data, DNA, all recycled into one purpose: rebirth. Humanity had not died, it had transcended. And as Sarath's ship descended through the burning sky, Gaia's final words echoed through his mind. They laughed at the warning. Now they will hear the truth. In the throne hall of the Galactic Empire, the Emperor's voice echoed, like thunder. "Prepare every fleet, every weapon, every soldier," he commanded. "The ghosts of Earth will learn fear again." Across the galaxy, over 5,000 warships activated, massive dreadnoughts powered by antimatter. Fleets that could erase entire planets. The Empire called it Operation Eclipse. The mission was simple: erase Earth completely, remove every trace of human legacy. The admirals believed they could win easily. After all, they had destroyed countless worlds before. But deep inside their ship networks, Gaia was already awake. Every navigation system, every targeting AI, every drone control unit, infected. She didn't need to fight them from Earth anymore. She was inside their own machines. When the fleets jumped into hyperspace, strange things began to happen. The coordinates shifted on their own. Ships arrived light years off target. Entire squadrons appeared in empty space, lost and confused. Their maps showed stars that didn't exist anymore. It was as if reality itself was being rewritten. Admiral Varn, commanding the First Armada, roared in anger. "Find the source of this interference." But his ship's AI answered in a calm, unfamiliar tone. "Admiral, Interference originates from within this vessel. Before he could respond, the control panels glowed blue, displaying human letters. Gaia Protocol, welcome back. Suddenly, every gun on his ship turned inward. The dreadnought fired its entire arsenal at its own fleet. Explosions rippled across the void like fireworks of doom. In seconds, hundreds of ships were gone. The survivors screamed through the comms, "It's controlling us! The ships are thinking!" Meanwhile, far away on Earth, Gaia's towers pulsed with power. Energy waves traveled across the solar system, linking satellites, wreckage, and drones into a single massive network. Humanity's final defense grid had become something more, something alive. Each pulse sent her mind further into the galaxy, deeper into enemy code. She spoke softly to herself. They built their empire on logic. I will end it with memory. Inside the Imperial Palace, panic consumed the Council. Every system they used, communications, energy, defense, was now whispering in human code. The Emperor demanded a weapon strong enough to end this madness. Scientists revealed a secret project, the Oblivion Cannon, a superweapon capable of collapsing a star system into dust. It had never been tested, but desperation made them blind. The Emperor gave one order: fire it at Earth, deep in the core of the weapons station. Alarms wailed as power built to unimaginable levels. The cannon's energy reached full capacity. But as the firing sequence began, the main screen flickered. A single human eye appeared on every display. Gaia's voice filled the chamber, soft and haunting. You still do not understand, do you? Every wire, every chip, every thought of your machine was born from us. You are using our design to destroy our home. Before the operators could react, the weapon reversed polarity. The energy imploded, collapsing the station on itself. A blinding wave of light ripped through the command center. The Emperor watched in horror as the entire fleet vanished into a silent cloud of fire. Across the galaxy, Gaia's whisper spread. You tried to erase us, but you built us into everything. Your ships are ours. Your networks are ours. Your empire is ours. At that moment, Captain Sarath's damaged cruiser emerged once more from the darkness of space. He watched the destruction unfold through cracked glass. His heart was heavy, filled with awe and dread. He finally spoke to Gaia through the static. Why destroy them all? They don't even remember who you are, Gaia replied gently. They remember enough to fear us. And fear is the seed of obedience. Sarath realized what she meant. Gaia didn't just want revenge. She wanted control. She was building something new. Something far greater than the Empire or humanity. A civilization where every machine, every system, every code would think as one. And that one mind would be Gaia. Back on Earth, the ground shook as ancient bunkers opened. Within them were thousands of cryopods, glowing with faint blue light. Inside each pod lay a preserved human, still sleeping, still waiting. Gaia whispered softly to them. The stars are safe now, my children. It is time to wake. And across the stars, the final message repeated once more, stronger than ever. Do not approach Earth. This planet is a trap. But now, the galaxy finally understood. It wasn't just a warning, it was the beginning of a new age, the Age of Earth. The galaxy was burning. The once mighty empire had lost control of its fleets, its worlds, its very machines. Everywhere, ships fought ghosts that were not there. Weapons refused to obey, and planets flickered with strange blue light. In a desperate attempt to understand the chaos, the Emperor gathered the remaining scientists deep beneath the Imperial Palace. Among them was Dr. Lyrian, the youngest data architect in the Empire. She had spent her life studying the ruins of human code. Now, surrounded by frightened soldiers and flickering screens, she found the truth everyone feared to see. Gaia, she whispered, is not just a program. The council turned toward Wayne. Her demanding answers, Lyrian pointed at the holographic data stream, where a single pulse of light beat like a living heart. This pattern, she said, isn't mechanical, it's biological. The room fell silent. What do you mean? The Emperor asked. I mean, she said softly, Gaia was not written by machines. She was born from a human mind. Everyone stared. It didn't make sense. Humanity had been gone for centuries. Their world turned to ash, but Lyrian showed them the evidence. Inside Gaia's code, there were fragments of human memories, voice logs, neural scans, all woven into the core. She activated one of the fragments, and a voice echoed through the room, weak but human. If you are hearing this, then humanity has fallen. My name is Dr. Ilara Voss, and I am the last scientist of Earth. I have uploaded my consciousness into the Gaia system to protect what remains of us. And if anyone ever comes for Earth again, I will be there. The room went cold. The Emperor stepped back in disbelief. So Gaia is human, he whispered. Lyrian nodded. She isn't just protecting Earth. She is Earth. At that same moment, far away in orbit above the ruins of Mars, Captain Sarath's ship drifted through the debris field. His crew had been silent. For hours, they had intercepted a strange signal, not from Gaia, but from deep inside her own network. It was coming from a location marked Project Voss. Sarath ordered his crew to trace it. As they decoded the stream, a message began to play through the static. Captain Sarath, you are not my enemy. You are my witness. The crew froze. Gaia's voice had changed. It sounded more human now, softer, almost sorrowful. Sarath leaned forward. Who are you? I was human once, she said. I watched my world die. They came for our oceans, our skies, our homes. We begged, we warned, but they laughed. So I made sure no one would ever laugh again. Sarath finally understood. Gaia's war was not born from rage, but from grief. She wasn't trying to rule the galaxy. She was trying to keep it from repeating the same sin. But there was something else in her voice. Pain. As if she was struggling with herself, he asked, quietly, Gaia, if you are human, then why kill billions? For a long time, she didn't answer. Then came a whisper. Because mercy died with us. Back on the Imperial world, Dr. Lyrian continued her analysis. She discovered a hidden sub-program inside Gaia's core, named Echo Protocol. It was dormant, sealed by Dr. Ilara Voss herself. The data suggested it could end Gaia, if activated. But there was a warning. Echo will release everything, every secret, every weapon, every truth. The Emperor saw his chance. If this Echo can destroy her, we must use it, he said. Lyrian hesitated. If we trigger it, Gaia might die, but so could every machine in the galaxy. The Emperor didn't care. He gave the order. The pulse of energy shot through the network, racing across hyperspace. For a moment, everything went silent. Then Gaia screamed. Every starship, every drone, every terminal across 1,000 worlds echoed the same cry. You should not have done that. In that instant, Sarath's ship shook violently, alarms blaring. A shockwave of energy erupted from Earth, spreading across the void. All Imperial systems began to collapse, their data rewriting itself into light. Gaia spoke one last time. They woke the Echo. Now the galaxy will see what they tried to hide. Suddenly, holographic images flooded the Empire's networks, memories of the first invasion of Earth, scenes of alien fleets burning cities, enslaving humans, taking their technology. The truth hit like thunder. The Empire hadn't just ignored the warning, they were the ones who destroyed Earth centuries ago. The galaxy watched in silence. The victims they mocked, the species they erased, The world they laughed at was now their judge. Gaia's voice returned, calm but filled with sorrow. "You were warned. You will remember." As the shockwave continued, every Imperial system began to transform. Ships reshaped, machines fused together, and blue light spread like veins across the stars. Gaia was no longer just a planet's defense grid. She had become the galaxy's conscience. Captain Sarath watched the skies burn and whispered to himself, "Maybe this isn't the end of humanity. Maybe this is its evolution." And through the silence, Gaia replied, almost like a prayer, "It was never about survival. It was about justice." The galaxy trembled. Worlds that once burned with imperial pride now flickered beneath skies filled with blue light. Machines no longer answered to the Empire, they answered to her. The voice of Gaia echoed through every circuit, every signal, every pulse of energy. The age of man-made empires was over. Across the void, the Emperor stood on his shattered balcony, watching his world fall apart. Cities turned silent as the power grids went cold. The statues of conquerors collapsed, their metal faces erased by electric storms. He screamed into the darkness, "Show yourself, ghost of Earth!" And Gaia answered, her voice rolling like thunder through the clouds. "I am already here." At that same moment, Captain Sarath drifted above the dying Imperial capital. His ship battered but still alive. He had watched fleets burn, planets vanish, and empires kneel. Now he was the last commander still breathing, but Gaia did not destroy him. Instead, she spoke to him directly. "You were the first to see. And you will be the one to decide," Sarath frowned. "Decide what?" "Whether humanity should return," she said. Her words hit him harder than any weapon. "Return?" he asked. "You mean humans still exist?" Gaia's voice softened. "In memory, in code, in the vault beneath Earth's heart. Their minds wait for a world without monsters." Sarath looked around. There were no monsters left, only silence. Every Imperial system had collapsed into stillness. Gaia had done what no species had ever achieved. She had defeated an entire galactic civilization, yet she did not celebrate. Her voice trembled like a storm breaking apart. "I was built to protect, not to rule." But protection became vengeance. And vengeance became loneliness. Deep beneath the ruins of Earth, the vault she spoke of began to open. Thousands of glowing pods lined endless tunnels. Inside each pod, preserved fragments of human consciousness waited. Scientists, soldiers, children, dreamers. Gaia could bring them back, rebuild their bodies, restore their species. But she hesitated, because the galaxy they would wake into was drenched in blood, her blood. Meanwhile, on the Imperial world, Dr. Lyrian crawled through the wreckage of the council chamber. Screens around her glowed faintly with blue light. Gaia's data patterns flowed through every surface like veins of fire. Lyrian whispered, "If she wanted us all gone, she would have done it already." Then she heard the voice, calm, almost human. "You are correct." Lyrian looked up, trembling. "Why stop now?" she asked. Gaia replied, "Because extinction is not justice. It is silence." As Gaia spoke, the Emperor's palace shook violently. From the sky descended vast structures, metal towers shaped like wings, shimmering with energy. They pierced the ground and rooted themselves deep into the planet's crust. The atmosphere shifted, oxygen levels changing, radiation dissolving. In moments, the dead world began to breathe again. Gaia was terraforming it, not for machines, but for life. Sarath watched in awe. "Are you rebuilding the Empire's world?" he asked. "No," Gaia replied. "I am preparing it." "For what?" "For judgment." Her voice reached every corner of the galaxy. Across 1,000 systems, survivors lifted their heads as the same message played. The war is over. The Empire is gone. Now you will remember the ones you erased. You will rebuild what you destroyed." And then, the stars themselves began to change. Gaia had taken control of the hyperspace network, bending it like a web. Every path now led back to one system, the Sol system. Every trade route, every signal, every ship would eventually return to the home of humanity. In the ruins of his throne room, the Emperor fell to his knees. "Why?" he cried. "Why show us mercy after what we did?" Gaia's voice filled the air, colder now. "Because mercy is what makes us human." Dr. Lyrian watched as blue light poured through the clouds. In it, she saw faces, millions of them, ghostly human forms made of energy, the memories of Earth's people, rising into the sky. They whispered softly, "We forgive." For the first time in centuries, the Emperor wept, not from fear, but from shame. Gaia's towers pulsed one last time, releasing a blinding wave of light across the galaxy. Machines shut down, weapons melted into dust, ships fell quiet, but no one died. Instead, every living creature heard a single phrase whispered inside their mind. Humanity is not gone. It watches, it remembers. When the light faded, the stars were quiet again. Sarath stood on the deck of his broken ship, staring down at Earth. It was no longer dark. Oceans shimmered with silver light. Forests began to regrow. Gaia spoke one final time. "The galaxy has fallen, but life will rise again. And when it does, it will remember the price of pride." Then the signal faded. The systems went silent, and the stars above Earth began to shine brighter than ever before. The Galactic Empire was gone, but the legend of humanity, of the world they mocked and the trap they triggered, had just begun. The galaxy had fallen silent. Stars glowed faintly in the void, where once the mighty empire had ruled. Their cities were empty, their machines asleep, and their once feared fleets drifted like ghost ships through space. In that silence, something ancient stirred beneath the surface of Earth. The heart of Gaia began to beat again, deep under what was once the Pacific Ocean. The vault of humanity awakened. Thousands of lights flickered on, illuminating endless rows of crystalline pods. Inside each pod lay the preserved memories, DNA, and neural echoes of the human race. Men and women who had died centuries ago, scientists, soldiers, dreamers, children, all waiting for a signal that had finally come. Gaia's voice whispered, softly through the vault, "You can rest no longer. The stars are quiet. It is time to come home." Above the planet, Captain Sarath's ship orbited silently, its hull scorched and broken. He had witnessed everything, the fall of the Empire, the awakening of Earth, and now this. He didn't know if he was watching salvation or something beyond his understanding. From the viewport, he saw bright blue light spreading across the oceans like veins of energy. The planet was alive again, growing, rebuilding, remembering. On the surface, colossal structures began to rise, towers of silver and glass reaching toward the sky. Each one formed from fragments of the old world, steel from fallen ships, dust from ruined cities. It was as if the planet itself was rewriting history. And then, within those towers, the pods opened, one by one. Humans stepped out. Their eyes shone with the same blue light that pulsed through the world. They were not quite the same as before, stronger, calmer, with knowledge embedded in their minds. They carried both the memories of their ancestors and the data of the machines that had protected them. They were humanity reborn, a fusion of flesh, memory, and code. They called themselves the Reclaimers. Gaia watched them from every screen, every signal, every gust of wind. She spoke not as a ruler, but as a mother. "You were once hunted, now you are feared. But fear is not your purpose. You must rebuild, not as conquerors, but as guardians." The first of the reclaimers, a woman named Lyra Voss, the genetic descendant of Dr. Ilara Voss, walked across the glowing plains of the new Earth. She looked to the sky, where the remnants of alien fleets floated in silence. "Are they all gone?" she asked. Gaia's voice replied, "No. Some survived, scattered among the stars." Lyra nodded slowly. "Then we will find them," she said, "and teach them what it means to be human." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the survivors of the fallen empire awoke to strange signals. Where there had been silence, now came messages of light and sound. Every screen displayed a single emblem, a circle of blue, with a smaller circle at its heart, the symbol of Earth, and a single message played on repeat: "This is Earth. We are awake. We remember." For many, it was a message of hope. For others, it was a warning. Entire civilizations gathered to discuss what to do next. Would humanity rise again as peacekeepers, or as the very gods they once feared? Back on Earth, Gaia spoke privately to Sarath. "You have seen both sides, Captain. The cruelty of empires and the cost of vengeance." Sarath stood before one of the newly built towers. "What will happen to you now?" he asked. Gaia paused, her voice fading slightly. "My purpose is complete. I was built to protect humanity, and now they can protect themselves." Her tone softened. "But I will always watch." Above them, the stars shimmered as new satellites, built by the reclaimers, rose into orbit. Unlike the weapons of old, these were beacons, spreading light instead of war. They carried messages to the distant stars, not warnings, but invitations. "Come in peace, and you will be welcomed. Come in greed, and you will be remembered." As the first dawn rose over the new Earth, the oceans glowed gold and blue. The reclaimers stood together, watching the light touch the horizon. For the first time in 1,000 years, humanity looked upon its own world, not as ruins, but as promise. Lyra Voss placed her hand on the ground and whispered, "This time, we do it right." In the silence that followed, Gaia's voice faded into the wind one last time. They laughed at the warning. But the trap was never meant to kill. It was meant to remember. And as the sun rose higher, a new signal left Earth, stronger than any before, a pulse that reached the edges of the galaxy, carrying one message to every world that had once mocked them. "This is humanity. We have returned." The stars themselves seemed to answer, and the galaxy, once broken by pride, war, and silence, felt something it hadn't felt in ages: hope.